Oh, here we go. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Believe it or not, here we are. I don't know if you're all out there, but it looks like Big Al's out there. And we're waiting for Big Zig Zag Zilla, who's supposed to come on tonight, and kind of wondering what's happened to him. Kind of keeping myself posted. I'm hoping that he comes on. But all in all, we are doing the show anyway to entertain you all. So anyway, just be patient. We got lots of stuff to do. If nothing else, if you don't show up, we'll talk about other things. It's going to be a fun and wild and crazy night. And if nothing else, we'll pull an angel card. I got my angel cards out here. As you all know, we got lots of angel cards. 72 of them, of course. And there we go. Angel cards. And with no ado, we have the angel book too. So there you go. And thank you all for coming. I know we don't have a whole lot of people in here just yet, but we're doing a show and you can rewatch it later if you missed it. And of course, if you're watching this is great. Hey, and we got people pulling in, and we got Jules is in the house. Hey, Jules, and Big Al is on. He's heading from Arizona to the West Coast to Cali. Good for you. Nina's in the house. Hey, and Gaza Cav's in the house. Greetings and favor. Yes. Oh, he's on holiday. Good for you. Elderberry is in the house. All right. Well, we got people. We're doing our thing. And I'm trying to drive the bus and do the whole thing. Okay. But anyway, we're working on stuff. But anyway, as we get started, I'm going to wait till some people pull in, then we're going to pull a card and we'll read about that. And we're waiting for Gaza. We're going to do not Gaza. We're going to I'm looking at the chat. Hey Gaza, how you doing? I hope you're doing well out there. Hey, there's Zig Zag Zilla, and here he is. So with no ado, here he comes. He was almost late to his own party. But that's all right. We're getting the show on the road and everybody else is running a little bit behind. Well, Gaza, you just keep on having a holiday. Stick it out. I just got an email from you. So thanks a lot. I'll read it after the show. Stay strong, my friend. You got it going on. Life is tough, but if that happened here and that was happening to me, I would be heading out to the outback. There's nothing more precious than life. And it's all about being here and learning and loving the world around you and the people that you're closest to. It's about life is worth living. It's a great thing. And regardless if this is a prison planet or not, I'm here with the purpose to learn something. Maybe it's something big or little, I don't know. Maybe my purpose is to live it out and learn how to escape the prison planet, or at least figure out what my power is and all the knowledge I need to know. And with that, there he is. There's the man. You got to turn your microphone on. He's still adjusting.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to finish up before.
I was just trying to kill some time here. Yeah,
I was having a technical difficulty actually.
Oh, don't we all have that? Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I got a really bad storm coming out here, and I don't know, for some reason I had trouble connecting. I had no reception at all.
Oh, well, yeah, that storms will do that. It might have knocked something out or whatever. I was like, oh man, I might have to wing it.
I apologize to everybody. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to see the chat. Moving on.
Yeah.
I got my computer off, so I just have my
Yeah.
Zoom going on right now. So
Yeah. You don't want to have your computer on during a storm. If you get struck by lightning, poof, no more computer. I mean, that's.
I'll say hello to everybody from now. So hello, everybody.
Yeah, we got a few people in the house. I already said hello. They're a little slow moving in. It is Wayne's show tonight. He's got his on Artist First Network. So if you're listening to that, I don't blame you, because that's really good. But I thought, well, we're gonna do show anyway. They can rewatch it later.
I hear that.
And so in honor of Wayne, I wore the physicist and philosopher shirt, and one of us is the physicist and one of us is the philosopher. So and that was Wayne's old show. If he had with what's her name? I can't think of her name off the top of my head. It was a really good show, but then they got I don't know. Anyway, we'll just leave it at that. It was really good. I enjoyed their discussions, put it that way. Isby's in the house, and Big Al, he must not be driving because he's a Texan. So anyway, while you're adjusting and stuff, we're just gonna shuffle this deck. I got the angel cards. Have you seen the angel cards yet?
I have not.
Oh, well, these are the angel cards. And I got the angel card book with the sigils.
Oh, that looks cool, man.
It is. It's really cool. And each card, now I've never been really good at tarot cards or nothing. So these aren't like tarot cards. And each one of these is one of the 72 angels. And each one of these has, and I'm going to shuffle them. I'm just going to pick one like right here. There we go. And this is who I got. I got Michaela.
Oh man.
Mikhail. Yeah, that's it. Okay. And so all you got to do is really read it. It's an angel of political authority and order. He's let's see, what is he? He has powers, governing angel Michael. Tarot card is a 4 of swords, ruled by Libra and Jupiter. The physical level birth angel of October 19th through October 23rd. Let's see, what else would you like to need to know? Not much on here. Okay, so you go on the other side and it tells you what this angel does. Each one of these angels does a different thing. So this one is a patron of presidents, politicians, leaders and ministers, directors and ambassadors, brings a global perspective, allows to understand the nature of good and evil, teaches us how to develop a sense of diplomacy and diplomatic talents in order to allow us to succeed in our endeavors, enforces the laws of heaven and earth, discovers secrets and mysteries of the world, fixes any difficulty on the organizational side of things, symbol of organization and structure, obedience and loyalty, fills with energy to improve one's sense of social and spiritual organization by bringing advanced and well thought out planning to humanity, forewarns of and protects from accidents. That's somebody you want to have around. Brings protection and security while traveling and during any professional or personal moves in our life. Keeps away from the abuse of power, inability to make a decision, liberates from lies, defamation, and conspiracy. Protects from bad luck, misfortune, fatalities, and adversity. Defamation, false accusations, plotting, pretense, and trickery. Heals hypocrisy, dishonesty, greed, and envy. Helps in situations like corruption, treachery, political and social disorders. So there you go. Now, if anybody out there wants this angel card, just let me know and send me an email. Link is in the description below, and I will copy this off front and back, and I will email it to you. There you go. I've had a few people ask about that, so I've copied them. Well, not all of them. I just copied the one I read, and I send them out. So if you want to read more into it, you're good to go. So anyway, wasn't that interesting?
Hey, I mean, you could, when you finish, I mean, you could send me a copy of it if you don't mind, man.
Oh yeah, sure. It's kind of neat. Now then I got this book, and let's see, which one would I have? And then you just match it up with this, and it tells you how to use these angels, feeding the angels. Let's see, what else is it? What do we got here? Pronunciation and sigils. I need that. So each one, if you can see that, it tells the stuff, and it gives you the sigil. There we go. It's hard to see when you got to cover up the camera. And then it says, tells you about their powers. The power to obtain clear thought. When your mind is feeling confused or slow, when you are overwhelmed with options, call this angel to clear your thoughts. The angel can be used simply to reset your normal state of mind after an ordeal, to keep your thoughts clear during a stressful, demanding time. See how easy that is, And then you got the sigil there, and you can draw it out, I guess, or whatever. It tells you how to use these. See, it's real simple. I mean, it shows you what to draw, how to draw it out, what to do. It's kind of neat. Kind of neat. I'm going to learn all about it. You can sing to the angels. The angel of universal secrets, the force of connection. Yeah, this is a great book. The secrets of angelical contact. The power of the angels, etc., etc. So anyway, well-written book. I've been looking through it. I've been enjoying it immensely. So there you go. I'll run that off and I'll send it to you. Not a problem. And anybody else who wants it. I see we got Isby's in the house, and Witchy Moon 73 is in the house. There you go. Al says, or Nina says, I am interested. Please send me. Yes. Do I have your email address? I don't know. I can't remember. Well, if I don't, remember, send me an email. I'll just put reply back to it, and I'll send it out. Doug Stack's in the house. I'm here listening. So anyway, so what are we going to talk about tonight? You got any? I kind of left it up because I know you're about health, and it's winter's coming, and we got all kinds of things to discuss.
Well, yeah, thank you. I'm actually, thank you for inviting me back on the show. I know you said you wanted to talk about, health and prepping for the winter and whatnot.
Yeah.
Many different avenues and whatnot. But basically, like, the key to health, based on the studies, is basically hydration. I mean, you never notice how we talk about like winter, we always think about like flu season, like coming up at certain, times of the year. And these type of things, you always hear people say, I have a head cold, or I have a cold and whatnot. And most of the time, man, when you start to hear that, it's basically coming down to the body not being able to regulate the temperature properly. You know what I'm saying? That, when you have a cold, let's say, you're not able to regulate to the temperature or acclimate to the seasons that we're actually on. So, when you hydrate, I mean, I look at it like a car. It's not just basically like when you have the thermostat, it measures the temperature, but it's all done by the coolant or the water. Like if you don't have coolant, it's done by water. But again, hydrating on a cellular level, most of the time in the wintertime, we don't think about eating fruits or anything like that, because it comes down to more cooked foods, and we eat to the season and whatnot. In Alaska, you don't see people eating mangoes and whatnot. They're basically ice fishing and whatnot. So it's more or less a balance, but not to become too fixated on it. I notice a lot of people I speak to, especially like it happened to me at one point when, when you start to get into a certain path and you think that, diet is one of the things that is going to get you on that leap forward. It's just going to get your vessel operating properly. But most of the time when you get fixated too much and too obsessed over it, that's another form of disease. It's kind of like it becomes an overwhelming mental problem where you start to just think about what you're supposed to eat. You basically lose connection with what you actually think you need rather than what you want and whatnot. I know there's a lot of people, they're trying to lose weight. They start to think about what they're not going to eat. And then one of the things that's crazy is that even having that mentality, saying, all right, I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to eat this, it's like you already put that in your mind and you already still have food in your mind. I noticed that there's times where I even forget to eat, as an example. And I'm not telling people they shouldn't eat, but I'm just saying, like, if overeating is an issue, it's more or less just like when I start gardening, I forget to eat because I'm so fixated on that. Like I'm so immersed into that, something that I actually enjoy doing on my day-to-day basis. You know how sometimes when people are bored or whatnot, the first thing they want to do is like pick out on certain things. They get that anxiety, or I don't know if you've ever found yourself doing nothing and sometimes you go to the refrigerator and it'll open it up like 30 times and you already know what's in there, but yet you think there's magically something going to appear and whatnot. I've been through that also. But yeah, I mean, it's just basically maintaining hydration. I feel like it's the main key. No matter what time of the season it is, I feel like being able to acclimate to the climate appropriately based on your thyroid gland working properly, your pineal gland and whatnot working properly, then you're good. Because other than that, I mean, you even seen like when people put sanitizer or that lotion on their hand, it's kind of like a cold feeling. That's why I feel like those things are even not really too necessary to maintain like yourself actually clean, but it starts from the inside out. So I hope that was a good start.
Can I ask you some questions? You're putting out so much. Like, can we go over a few of those things you put out there? There's so much information right there. With the water, first, I'm taking notes, man. You are right on top of it. Okay, water. When I was doing the farming, right? In the winter time was the most important time to have water for the animals. Little did I know, because I wasn't feeling like I was needing to drink much, but in the winter time, it was more important for those animals to have water, and they drank more in the winter than they did in the summer. Go figure.
Yeah.
So
what's crazy too, and one thing that I actually read, I just got into gardening, but even to prevent frost, sometimes getting a little bit of water on the plants actually prevents frostbite on the actual plants that you have outside. If they're not really like, let's say frost tolerant, but they can tolerate a light frost, even having a little bit of water in them actually protects them too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so you're talking about not being hungry and like keeping busy, right? Now, I know not everybody can keep busy, and I've done just what you said. I get bored. First thing I do is I head to that fridge and look for in there like this and go, and I stare on that door and I sit there and stare as the cold air goes out and my electric bill goes up, and I think, what can I munch on? I'm really not, and I'm not hungry. I really ain't. So what is your suggestion if I am bored? What should I be munching on?
It's basically not even like staying busy per se, but there's certain things that I like. But in the wintertime, of course, I'm not going to be able to do it. But there's times where if I'm home, I love to be in the garden. Like, it's just one of my things. I either do that or even drawing or exercising, like working out, or I don't know. I just got kittens now. So it's just like doing something you like to do. A lot of the times, keeping your mind on, it's hard to explain because one thing that I actually realized is that there was a point where I said, I'm going to stop eating meat, right? And this was a while ago. I'm kind of past this stage. But I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm seeing so much information online about like not eating meat and how it's not spiritual and whatnot. So this information kind of got into my head like a mind virus. And I was thinking that I was gonna basically get to my next level of like evolvement from like not eating meat. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that I said I'm gonna stop eating meat, I'm creating a fight with something. Like I created a resistance, but it's on my mind now that I'm not gonna eat meat. And then the more the craving and the urges just happen to come. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've noticed to basically start from me first. Like, I ask myself, why do I not want to eat meat? It's not basically like what I heard. You know what I'm saying? So the only reason I'm answering like this is kind of going to the same concept of like, what happens if somebody's always getting that anxiety to want to eat? You know what I'm saying? But it all starts from me. It all starts from yourself first. Like, I ask myself, why don't I want to eat meat? What does it mean to me? And when I realize it doesn't mean anything to me, I'm like, then why am I not eating meat? Because I heard something online and did it necessarily resonate with me, or is it a desire that I have? It's like, it kind of just said, am I already like spiritual? Am I somebody that is having a desire to be more spiritual? So I just said, I'm going to stop eating meat. So I have a goal, for example, and I say, I'm going to like lose weight. So I have to, get myself motivated. So I used to do MMA and I was like, okay, I have to train and then I have to eat a certain way and live a certain lifestyle so that I can build myself to the fight. And when I get to weigh-ins, I can actually make weight. If I don't make weight, I'm not getting paid, or I'm not gonna get the fight. You know what I'm saying? So there's a motivation behind it. That's why people get a team and whatnot. And it's good that we have this little like, group that we can actually like, speak with each other amongst. We motivate each other. But behind the motivation, there has to be some type of discipline from you at the end of the day. Like, that's why I said it always starts from you. If you don't have discipline, and you don't have where you want to be at, and you don't see it already, like visualize that. I mean, the discipline is not really going to be as concrete as you want it to be, I mean, for me, it's just basically, it's starting from, I ask myself questions, and then the more questions I ask myself and I literally sit on them, it starts to come to me in realizations or inspirations or hunches and whatnot. It's not like things are going to be answered to me in human language. It just comes to me, and that I feel like is my form of gnosis on what I'm supposed to be doing. And ever since I started following that, I've been on a much better mental state. I've been on a much better path. I've been more at ease with myself, because I feel like the key to this whole thing, as far as health goes, is
Yep. Well, exactly. That was kind of another thing. Like, now when I was starting to do stuff and I was trying to lose some weight and stuff, well, it was before that. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be a healthy guy and, improve myself, et cetera, et cetera. And so I read about a bunch of stuff and I says, I'm going to take vitamins and I'm going to do this. So I got loaded up on all these vitamins, but I didn't, but I kept eating so much. But then I had to get my mindset really. But as I started taking like, what was it? I read somewhere, well, eventually I got the right combination of vitamins, right? Because now tell me if this is true or not, because it seems to be that way, is when I'm lacking in a certain vitamin, my body is saying I'm hungry and I'm going out to eat stuff trying to get that vitamin. But once I took all the vitamins that I needed and I satisfied that hunger inside of me, my appetite went right down. Does that work that way, or is it just in my head?
It could be in your head. I mean, there's a lot of things where if you believe a product to work wholeheartedly, I mean, it could actually help you. One of the things about vitamins is that these vitamins come in isolated form. You get what I'm saying? And most of the time, these things being a synthetic form of these vitamins, whether it be a fat-soluble vitamin or a water-soluble vitamin, they're basically in isolated forms most of the time. And in nature, like, how you've ever hear people tell you like all health starts in the gut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to have balance of like the perfect ecosystem there.
Mhm.
I can basically get more vitamins. Let's say, for example, eating something that I've grown myself, even with a little bit of dirt in it,
Mhm.
that's more or less more of the organic elements that I can actually introduce to my body.
Mhm.
And, I'm not going to need to eat as much. Like the typical American, let's say, even when they're trying to eat clean, they'll buy stuff like lean cuisine and whatnot. Um, they have these things, they're promoted and advertised as low calories, low carbs, and whatnot. But there's a certain level, like nutrition goes into many different avenues, because I believe more or less like nutrition, and I'm gonna get to the answer on the vitamins. It comes into life force, you know.
Mhm.
Um, we are basically one of the most evolved species here. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we are more or less a higher intelligence. We're supposed to be ingesting more of a higher intelligent uh, source of vitamins or food, you know, and I'm talking about like stuff that you can basically find in fresh food. I actually saw a video you made where you started a garden.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had that channel. I thought that was very interesting, man. How did that garden turn out for you, by the way?
Oh, it turned out really good. Really
Nice.
good.
Tell
Yeah.
me, I don't know if you, because the thing is, I was very present with my food, but did you notice a difference eating the foods that you grow yourself versus foods that you can actually go buy outside in the market?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I had a
Yeah,
really good garden this year too. And, like anything that I grow in the garden, almost it tastes different.
yeah,
And it's either a little more bitter or it's a little this or a little that. It's not like the fluff that you get in the store, even the broccoli and the broccoli, holy cow. And but the stuff that I grow, it just tastes so much. A tomato you pick off the vine, even if you buy the tomatoes in the store that are on the vine, those ones,
yeah,
they're not the same as the one I pick and then I eat. It's
yeah.
just lots different.
Is a certain, it's a level of gratitude. I mean, it's just so satisfying to actually, because I pulled out like this year, I think I pulled out like 40 watermelons. I grew a lot
Wow.
of fruits because I
Yeah.
actually enjoy fruits. So I pulled out over 100 pounds of blackberries, blueberries,
Wow.
raspberries, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And not really too much of the greens, because last year, I mean, I didn't keep up with a lot of it. Ended up going bad because I grew so much of it and I didn't eat as much of the greens.
Hmm.
But the fruits, man, I really enjoyed the fruits a lot. And it's such a different feeling. Basically, even eating, let's say, for example, an egg that's freshly laid from a chicken.
Yep. I
Uh,
have chickens and I have fresh eggs.
yeah, man, that's awesome. Have you ever ate the eggs raw?
No. No, don't. I haven't eaten raw eggs.
So if
But I
you
try
try
to
to
I
ever,
try I try to eat like boiled eggs, things like that, so that keeps it all together. But I do eat fried eggs or scrambled eggs too. But, yeah.
no, it's not a problem. I mean, but I'm just saying, I've tried the raw eggs also,
Yeah.
and I don't know what it is, man. But it was like, but I had it fresh. Like as soon as it was like it was laid, I had it within a few minutes, and man, you could feel the life force in that in that egg. I know a lot of people say, oh, eating the raw egg, inhibits the biotin production. I already know all that, but you get it from other B vitamins, but in that sense, I wasn't really focused on like biotin or anything like that. I was more focused on just eating the egg raw for the life force of it. I mean, what can you really eat raw that's animal source? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Aside from like the fruits, that's why I said I wanted to eat the eggs, and it's a totally different. It's a crazy experience. I'm telling you, I felt like I had a little rush of energy that you feel within you. It's a real thing, man. Like
Yeah.
I've actually felt it.
I agree. Like I used to have goats and milk the goats for the goat
Mhm.
milk. And man, I enjoyed that goat milk immensely. And the fresh chicken, and I used to raise and butcher my own chickens and beef and pit pork and you name it, I had it. But that stuff was so much better tasting than the stuff that and I felt like, I cherished this animal. I gave it the best life I could before,
Yeah,
and you know, versus the one in the store kind of thing, you know, who knows where it happened to it. You know, I've seen those places and boy,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
here's where I want to get this, like basically to cut this little topic into as simplistic as possible. Like when it comes down to the topic of like, let's say any season or whatnot, health, if you're healthy and you know you're healthy, you feel good every morning, you wake up fine, everything's good. I don't believe in living such a rigid lifestyle. When I feel like you really got to get serious with like your health is when you know you have a check engine light in your body going on. Like if something's happening, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You want to
yeah.
address it before it gets worse because your body's always talking to you, you know? And we get little signals, but we don't pay attention until the body's screaming. Like when the body's screaming in the form of diabetes, cancer, and stuff like that, that's when, you know, people are, oh, now they're panicking. Because the thing is, once you get to that stage, now the disease gets worse, not because of the doctors treating you or, you know, you not eating the proper diet. It's just the fact that you panic and the fear that you're going through is making it so much worse for you that you actually end up making the disease a lot worse. So it's good to address it from the get-go. Now, if it gets to the point where you do have a disease, the best thing to do is actually like maintain your composure. You know what I'm saying? And figure out from that moment how you can fix the problem without having to intoxicate yourself. Now, I'll make this disclaimer: I'm not a doctor, but I'm speaking emotions and experience and knowledge on what I've learned and the area of study that I'm actually in. I've been a nutrition counselor, personal trainer. I've worked with supplements my entire life, and I'm actually into the study of iridology right now. So that's basically just before anybody, you know, I want to make sure I leave that disclaimer, you know, you know, and that's why I've made so many videos on my channel about, you know, the God complex and whatnot, because, you know, what struck with me is basically, you know, saying in the dollar bill, in God we trust. And then, you know, I asked myself, like, what does the word God even mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we want to look at the word God and, you know, how words have many different meanings, but the first thing that people think about is the, you know, the religious figure of that God, you know? And we are indoctrinated in many different ways, man. Like if I ask somebody, you know, who has diabetes and they say, and I ask them, how did you get diabetes, man? How do you think you have diabetes, or what causes diabetes? And the first thing that comes out is sugar. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that's on my list too. What do you think of sugars?
Well, the sugars is you know, if you're healthy, you can metabolize sugars very easily. You know what I'm saying? But and you can use them as energy. If you're gonna, you notice how when you eat like sugars that are not good for you, they tend to give you a high, but then you crash. If you go and use it as energy, you know what I'm saying? Like go work out and whatnot, then you should be okay if you're healthy. You know what I'm saying? But the fruit sugars, particularly like I said, watermelons, honeydew, cantaloupes, fruits like that have a very low glycemic index. You know, even if you have diabetes and you're eating those fruits and only those fruits, you'll reverse these symptoms of diabetes right away without ever having to take medication. You know what I'm saying?
Nice, nice. Yeah.
And not only that, but they're also hydrating you on a cellular level. As I said before, hydration is the key to proper health. Hydration is the key. You're made of water. First of all, if you want to be close to godly, if you really want to look at even water goes through 3 stages in particular, like solid, liquid, and gas. You know, we start to talk about like the Trinity and whatnot. You go into a solid form, to a liquid form, and then to a form that you don't even see in the form of vapor. And it's all measured by degrees. You measure your degrees in your body by temperament. And then you talk about angels or angels, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The light you can give out is basically measured by what degree are you on? You know what I'm saying? Are you think about this, man. When you're in the womb of your mom, again, I mentioned this, you're all water. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We come out and we get older, we start stiffening up and all that. And even our mind, everything just starts becoming so closed-minded, so rigid, so tight. And I feel like it's just about just loosening up, just, you know, just like be like water. That's why Bruce Lee said, be like water, you know, but you get into your flow, you find what you like, you know, like I said before, I like gardening, I like martial arts. You get into your flow and you'll know when you're in flow because time cease, you to exist. Like you don't even realize how much time passed by in between the times that you're doing. Sometimes I'm drawing, 3 hours pass by and I don't even realize it. I don't get hungry. Which means that I'm immersed into the project I'm doing. But your project is your projection on how you're going to see your reality and how clear you can keep your mental state to it. Sometimes even putting the subliminals that you want to do to reprogram yourself is pretty good at these stages, because you're keeping everything so busy, like everything's occupied. There's no interruption, like you're in a flow. So I don't know, your body basically really is like a computer, and there's things that I've done that have helped me out tremendously, especially like, through addictions and whatnot. I had bad addiction to porn when I was like younger, bro. Bad, you know what I'm saying? And I've realized I've carried that throughout my adulthood. But there was things that I realized that, I'll make a figure out of it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever figure you want it to be. And I always had a chainsaw in my mind. And there was always a bodily urge that I had toward, like, let's say if it would be hunger, if it would be anything that you would probably like consider an addiction that is not serving you, right? In my mind, I would literally have that figure attached to me, but then I would create a chainsaw and I would just cut it like right through. And the moment I did that, I made sure I maintained a real good focus on that. Like just that with a powerful chainsaw, just cutting right through it. Man, it's crazy how whatever you thought you felt in that instant, when you really pay attention, it tends to go away, I think you asked me about diabetes before. The eating meat part, I'm not a vegan. I eat meat, but I know how to eat meat. I feel like a lot of people don't know how to eat meat. You know what I'm saying? The meat part, for example, if you're younger, you can recover faster from certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like breaking a bone and eating foods, because you're growing up, your growth hormone's high. But when you get to a certain age, your growth hormone slows down and you start to grow sideways if you keep eating the same way you do. So
I'm sure there's a few people here that have grown sideways.
Yeah. So one of the important things to do as you get older is eating simpler foods. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to eat these complex foods that are such a complex. When you get older, you get wiser. You start, if you know better, you do better type of things. It's not like because I'm healthy, I'm going to go eat whatever I want and then, find out when I get sick and when, it's not like that. And it's not like I'm telling people that they can eat whatever they want and there's not going to be, everybody's body is different. Everybody has different genetics, different genetic weaknesses that are passed down by your parents. But one of the things that I want to tell people not to fall into this trap is to say cancer runs in my family, diabetes runs in my family, all this runs in my family. These are mind viruses. And if you go on living with that mind virus in your mind, you're more or less likely to manifest that into your life, because you became, and listen, there are genetic weaknesses that get passed down. But the whole thing is that once you learn and you start to, because the beauty part about the age we're in is the internet. We get so much information out of the internet, but it's not to get lost in it either, not to fall into rabbit holes and not know that there's different avenues where you start to connect dots into different things. You know what I'm saying? That's how I started to do it. I started to look at the big picture of everything, even religion. Like people start to talk about, I'm religious and whatnot. But when you say I'm religious, that means you're into all religions. You know what I'm saying? So health is the same thing. Allopathic, holistic, everything. Just look at the big picture of things. People are like, well, I'm a little skeptical about iridology. Well, the first question I would ask is, what's there to be skeptical about? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really think about it, when you go to a doctor and you give them your symptoms, right? They're not really doing anything to diagnose you in actuality, aside from giving you vitals or whatnot. But one of the things to take into account is this. How does the doctor know that you even know what you're talking about when you're explaining these symptoms? Because a lot of the times the person that's going through things doesn't even know what they're going through to begin with. Like, so if I go to a mechanic and I have a check engine light in my car, neither me or the mechanic knows what's going on with the car until it gets connected to a scanner. You get what I'm saying? When it's connected to that scanner, then we both know what's wrong with the car. And then we can address it. It's not to cut the check engine light and be like, okay, your problem solved because you came in for a check engine light.
Yeah, that's a heck of a good mechanic.
Yeah,
I
mean,
cut
he
the
fixed my check
cord
engine
and
light, right?
yeah, it's fixed.
Yep, fixed, no problem. But so when you start like it's like putting band-aids on a bullet wound. Like the reason everybody has imbalances, and look, health is very easy. There's two sides of chemistry. There's acids and alkaline. Once you get to look, and there's two sides to there's a polarity matrix: masculine, feminine, positive, negative, acids, alkaline. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to find that neutral. You're the one that's that neutral ground. That's how you know you're the eye of God. You're the one who knows where to put more acids, where to put more alkaline. You know what I'm saying? If you got a fire, you're not going to put more fire. You're going to put some water in there to turn it off. You know what I'm saying? If you want fire to start destroying things. You want fire, you want to, you purifies basically, and when you have acids, is the way I look at it is acid is more or less like the predatory bacteria that starts to clean your house to some extent. Because you have good bacteria and bad bacteria, just like in my garden. In my garden, I'm going to have beneficial pests and I'm going to have pests that I don't want there. Right. Mm-hmm. And notice the pests that I don't want there are the vegan ones. Like the vegan ones are the bad ones. I want the carnivores. Yeah. So, a lot of the times when people start to see a little bit of pests in their garden, the first thing they do is they want to insecticide. Yeah. But nobody's insecticiding nothing in nature, right? Nobody's feeding or fertilizing anything in nature. So what do? You wait for the predatory bugs to come. The only thing that the human is supposed to be responsible is amending the soil, making sure that the microbiome in the soil is healthy. So that, first of all, if you have healthy plants coming out of an efficient amended soil that you did with compost, pests aren't even going to attack your garden because pests only attack weak plants. They don't attack plants that are healthy. You get what I'm saying? So when you look at it like this on a spiritual and a physical level, you're protected once you know who you actually are and what you actually are. You know what I'm saying? Because with your mind, you can actually fuck your shit up anyway. But when you look at your garden, treat it like the forest. Set it up the same way. You see, I happen to have a friend who works in a tree company, and he bought me a truckload of yellow pine wood chip. Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now that's the third truckload he bought me, but I'm constantly mulching my soil because it's kind of like mimicking nature. Because the thing is, I don't have all these big trees to canopy the soil. Now, the thing about it is that why do you think we have skin? Our skin is our line of defense, right?
Yep.
Our skin is basically like we're taking in those nutrients from the sun, and it's working in symbiosis with the gut microbiome, which is basically what's in the soil. Because if you look at the bacteria in the soil, lactobacillus bifidobacteria is the same bacteria that's in the soil. So why do you think kids, when they're playing in dirt, they're strengthening their immune system up? It's because they're in tune with nature. But being in tune with nature is making sure your pH is actually in tune with nature as well. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say, for example, if your earth, which is your stomach, is like Mars, it doesn't matter how much of the bacteria I'm introducing to my system. It's like me throwing people in Mars. They can't live there, So that's why it's very important to just make sure you maintain that proper pH, proper hydration, because even when you see plants in your garden that look like they have nutrient deficiencies because they start changing colors on the leaves, it's not that they have nutrient deficiencies. The reason that it is nutrient deficiencies, but it started from the imbalance of the microbiome first. Because let's say if you let the soil dehydrate too much, if the soil got too hot, what happened? That microbiome got imbalanced or died off because it got too hot.
Yeah.
So what happened? Now that microbiome was responsible for processing the organic matter. What they process or poop out is the nutrients for the plant. That's how it becomes bioavailable to the plant. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
yep.
That's why the body, it's important to keep a proper pH and a proper hydration level so that the microbiome stays in check the same way it does in the soil. You know what I'm saying? And then all you got to do is get some sunlight, and that's it.
I got a question. So how do I regulate my pH? I mean, should I be more alkaline or more acidic, or how do I figure that out?
Well, okay, so that you can tell by body temperature. Like, let's say, for example, when you have a fever, right? You feel cold, yet you're hot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You'll start to feel these, your hands start to get cold for no reason. You'll start to feel like inflammation, like let's say the main indicators when you wake up in the morning and you feel achy in the morning, that's a telltale sign that you're a little bit acidic. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where you start to manifest most of the your pains are in your joints. You could tell by if you feel after you eat, if you feel bloated. Another tell sign is sweating profusely. Let's say if you like sweating is good, but you know, you ever seen these people when they put on a dress shirt and they're, you know, they're business guy, but they always sweating like crazy. That's also a sign of too much acids in the body, because you're supposed to be able to regulate your body temperature. Look at dogs, for example. I have a dog. I have a poodle. All right, and he's got. I mean, I shave him down, but he's got thick fur, right? And one would say, well, man, you know, he shouldn't have all that fur, man. Look at it, he gets too hot. Can you believe it or not? With all that fur, they're able to regulate their body temperature a lot better than when they don't have hair. And if you look at it, that's just something natural in them. So you should naturally, and it's not like you're doing anything. This happens naturally. If your body's properly operating in homeostasis, you don't do anything. It's just like you're driving a car. Do you regulate how much coolant or when your fans goes on or how many times your cylinders are supposed to be moving? You don't do none of that. The car does it on its own the same way. Your body does all these things, the autonomic nervous system, everything's working on its own. You know what I'm saying? All you have to do is, you know, the telltale signs. Am I achy? Is my body temperature off? Why do I feel so chilly or cold? Sometimes
well, see, but the thing is, I mean, okay, I think the problem is with a lot of people, you know, I look at myself as the average Joe, right? And okay, so I have, you know, some achy joint. I'm just gonna say, I got some achy joint. I'll be the test experiment. I got achy joints. I got the, you know, whatever going on, right? But I'm like, I don't know how to fix it. My body's telling me, and then I'm thinking, I don't know what it is. Why do I have the achy joints? Why do I have the hot flashes? Why is this going on? And then I just say, oh, well, and I walk out the door and go to work.
And that's the thing. It keeps you busy. Like you have something to do always. So you kind of discard those little symptoms of the body. You get what I'm saying? One of the important things to take into account is you got to listen to your body. Like if you feel achy, right? And you know, you're asking yourself what's going on. The best thing to do is sit down and remember, what have you eaten? Because think about this, man. Sometimes people have mental issues. You know what I'm saying? They have issues like, you know, but think about if you're creating your reality every day, right? And you say, man, you ask yourself, how did I get myself into this mess? You created that mess for yourself. You would have to sit down and realize, what have I been doing to get me into this mess, right? So the same thing, when you're eating, you have to ask yourself, what have I ate? But the thing is that people are eating so many different things through the day, snacking here, doing that. It's hard to keep track of the things you've eaten. And it's not good to eat like that, because when you eat like that, you're spiking your insulin all the time. And, you know, and it's taking a lot of your life force away, in a sense where I know all these things are replenishable, but you're abusing, it's kind of abusing your body to some extent, you know, like here's the thing. A measuring stick that's very important to measure your life force, I believe, is your sex drive. If your sex drive starts to diminish, that's a big indicator that something's wrong. Because, you know, if you look back in history, right? And I'll make a note with you. I'd rather talk about a video, honestly, where I could go back and what I think about history, man, because history can go into many different avenues. I think about it, man, because I don't even believe in history at all. But whatever we've been told about history, if you look at it, our forefathers were having sex at 90 and having babies at 90. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can look these things up. They're actually true. But why nowadays, man, me working in the supplement industry, I got guys in their 30s looking for dick pills. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know, how do you have problems with this area? And I ask myself, there's something wrong. Like, it's either the food you're eating, the stress levels, the amount of work, the energy you have to put into a job. Half these guys got very physical jobs, you know what I'm saying? And they're working 10, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. Not only that, but then they go home, they have their family to take care of. Sometimes they may have even family dramas. Look at all these things that pile up over time is when it starts to take a big effect. You know, how much time do you put into your own energy to, let's say, move energy around? Let's say you may have stagnant energy in your body. You're supposed to be able to consciously move energy around and know where you have blockages by how you feel. Even sometimes I believe foam rolling, yoga, stretching is very important. You're moving things out, like you're moving metabolic waste, lactic acids. So if you really want to look at how to really alkalize, is moving these acids in your body. You have a system that's very important in your body called the lymphatic system, and it has no pump. The only way to actually get this system moving is by actually moving, by jumping on a trampoline. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your lymphatic system is your sewer system. If this system is not moving, you're going to eventually get sick. It may not be where you get detrimentally sick if you have good genes. A lot of people have good constitution. But if some people do get sick, it's basically coming down to taking care of the five senses therapeutically through color therapy, right?
Yeah.
Frequency, which is sound therapy. Massage therapy you start to wash off a lot of the metabolic waste. Fragrances, because these herbs actually carry a frequency. You ingest these herbs, they also carry a frequency. They come from nature. Now, why I love the area of study that I'm in is because we have organs. Our organs are called organs for a reason. They emit a frequency. You're a vibrational person. You emit a frequency. You're an electromagnetic being. You are a conducive person, so you should eat conducive food, right? So learning the frequencies of these herbs, okay? Because you can look at it physically in that way. A lot of people do it with astrology. You start to learn the frequencies of the planets, right? You start to learn the frequencies. You heal with frequencies. So if you learn the frequencies that each one of these herbs carry, and you're able to make a concoction, like being a real actual alchemist working with the land is not being a slave to the land, is literally having the land work for you as a tool, because this is all an extension of you. Everything out here, you're an extension of me. Everybody's an extension of me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even doctors that I sometimes want to like pick on, but they have a place in their position, but they learn their chemistry, which is a license to practice medicine. However, that medicine that they're prescribing is basically a blueprint from what you find in your own yard. All these herbs, you can literally learn about them, and you can heal yourself by learning these herbs, learning your land. Yeah. If you learn your land, you're literally learning your body as well, because you are from the earth. Why do you think I said when kids play in dirt, they strengthen their immune system? You were born, but when you die, you go back to earth. You go back to the land. You know what I'm saying? You're made up of all these elements.
You know, this is so profound, because just like 2 days ago, I had David Null on, and one of the things I read was in my history thing that I read for my part was about the herbal medicines and stuff that the Indians had gotten, and all of that stuff was from the land. And then what did the white man do? They took that and made it into synthetic. And then, of course, now we have things like aspirin and whatever. But all of that is out there naturally all over the place. Right. You just have to learn about it. I'm going to try to find some good natural herbal books that, you know, and then we'll talk about that sometime.
That's a great idea. I would love to get into that, man, because I mean, there's a lot of herbs. Like, even let's say, for example, even if you buy Irish sea moss, which basically has like 99 of the trace minerals that you out of the 101 that you have, I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have stuff like shilajit. There's licorice root. Let's say if you have problems with your adrenals, man, licorice root or your kidneys, these things stimulate these organs to move. But the whole thing is, you see, that's why it's very important. Like, all this stuff along comes with proper coaching. I love this stuff. But when you start moving this shit along, bro, like, you're going to come out with flu-like symptoms. It's like, you've seen people who say, I'm going through a spiritual healing, and then they start to feel like, even shadow work, they start to feel horrendous. Like, sometimes they may start to go through depression or, stuff like that. Like I've seen different people with different results. You do this physically. When you start to heal your body, you're basically, you're going to bring out emotions. These things that are hidden in these organs, these trapped emotions, blockages, they're going to come out. You got to be strong enough to be able to ride these waves. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, and somebody had asked in the chat, we got a few asking questions. Parasites, do I have, parasites in me? Is that a thing?
Everybody has parasites. Now the parasites,
good or bad?
there's good and bad to everything. However, there's stuff that in our history, all right, and I want you to listen to me very carefully. And if you look this up in the chat when you finish this video, there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Jennifer Daniels, and I want you to look this up too, Robert. She actually is a doctor, and she got her doctorate taken away because she started prescribing these sick people with turpentine, and this is something that's been done in history. And turpentine, which is food grade, not the paint, the paint thinner, but it's literally the paint thinner, but it's food grade. They have a food grade one. These things get rid of parasites. However, you have to know to properly clean your colon before and after, because if you don't clean your colon while doing this turpentine cleanse, these parasites actually die in your system, and you have something called die-off symptoms. And these symptoms are horrendous. Like, you will feel like shit. It's horrible. So, do your research when it comes to that. Everything you have to know what you're doing. Like it's not passing down info. It's not like I'm telling you, hey, do this and that's going to work. No, I encourage people to do research. You know what I'm saying? Look up Dr. Jennifer Daniels and look up a guy named Andreas Moritz. He will tell you how to do the liver and gallbladder flush. I know how to do these things, but I'm not going to tell you. I'd rather you do the research and then you can see what resonates with you. But he goes deep into the B12, the iron, and he goes into the bacteria of things. But one thing that's very important to take into account is that your eliminative organs are your liver and your kidneys. Your body is a processing and eliminative system. If you cannot properly do that, because what are you doing every day? You're listening to information, you're consuming information too. You know what I'm saying? But are you properly consuming the information? Half of the time people listen to things, it could be the most groundbreaking info. It could be the most impactful message. That's why who we would consider the elites, it doesn't matter what's really given out there. You see, what they process is not fully digested. And it's not something that they're actually getting the actual nutrients or the light from, because everything, you see, your message is basically a vehicle, but there's a soul behind it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know how to properly digest and process this. And that's very important because everything's information. What you listen to is information. And what you're listening to, you're eating. That's why they say I'm consuming or digesting the information you're telling me. And if somebody doesn't understand, that's why the other person tells you, let me break it down for you. That means they're making it more bioavailable. You know what I'm saying? So what happens there is keeping an open mind. That's how you're able to receive information, is basically keeping an open mind. Being like, it's not being childish, it's being childlike. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. These children are more open-minded. They're absorbing the information. We become more logic after the age of 7. So it's basically more or less like being able to receive this information like, childlike with no ego behind it. A lot of the times people listen to info and they already got the chatter in their mind trying to debate the person without even, fully listening to the information. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important to listen to the entirety of the message, or being as present as possible, like listening to something as a student and not, with the ego. Because when you listen to it as a student, then you're setting yourself up to be able to receive information and learn. If you're listening to it like anything else, you can never become a master of anything if you're just listening to it like you think you know everything, because you really don't know anything. I don't know anything either. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm learning every day and I'm grateful for it. I actually give thanks and I'm very grateful. And I notice I learn more every day by being like that, just being grateful for everything I learn every day. I'm like, how did I evolve today mentally and spiritually, just being thankful for that. And you do that every day. Even it's no different than when you eat your food. Why do you think the concept of prayer came out? You bless your food. It's not blessing it to a God, is you transmute the energy and you are grateful for what you're actually ingesting so that your body can receive the nutrients from the food you eat and you're able to process and eliminate it properly. A lot of people listen to stuff and they form belief systems behind it rather than just being like water, letting it flow. Like I just told you, flow like water. You form a belief system and all that does is just form a blockage, and it just forms like a real rigid, rugged, individual, and they're not open-minded to anything else. And it's bro, let me tell you something. I've talked to religious people who are like diehard. They're inviting me to church. I don't subscribe to none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like I'm turning them away, telling them, nah, I don't. Bro, let me tell you something. I've had 3-hour conversations with these people. Can you believe how much information I've actually got from these people by just talking to them? And it's not like, but at the end, we agree to disagree. But I'll tell you right now, man, just as much as I was appreciative of that person, the person was just as much as appreciative of me, of all the information that I gave them. They're on their path and I'm on my path. Everybody's on their path. Everybody's on their journey as far as how they eat, how they present themselves, whatever it may be. But you have to understand, us being in one body of this big serpent dragon, which whatever you want to look at it as, this is God evolving in consciousness by having different types of people here. The more it's like my garden, the more diverse or the bigger, the more expansive my universe gets as far as like the ecosystem. Matter of fact, when I find a new bug, I'm happy. I found a wheel bug the other day. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I found a wheel bug. I've never seen one before. The fact that I saw it in my garden, I'm like, my universe is expanding. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm the God of my garden because I created it. You know what I'm saying? It's my garden. I made it and it's in my mind. But here's the thing though. The reason I say that it's important because the way I look at the word God is authority. Because even you see it in the dollar bill, in God we trust. When you see the police to serve and protect, you see, to me, in my opinion, when I see police to serve and protect, they're serving and protecting a system because I don't really see them fighting as much crime as I do them giving tickets. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
there it is.
So they're making money for the system. I don't demonize it. At the end of the day, this system is a version or an extension, a reflection of me to some extent on how I'm managing the system if it triggers me to some extent. Mm-hmm. But one reason I say God is authority is you basically take authority and ownership, responsibility for your life. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why do you think doctors, I could give somebody, this doesn't happen to me often, but it happened to me a couple of times where I'm giving somebody advice on how to cure themselves. You know what I'm saying? And I stopped doing this. I only talk to people who ask me questions. I don't talk to people anymore if I see them doing something bad for me to, because that's their life. I'm not supposed to be imposing on their life. You know what I'm saying? And I've made that mistake before and I'm not going to do it again. Mm-hmm. But one of the things is I got to ask my doctor. When I heard that, I said, you know what? That doctor is above you. That's your God. You trust in that doctor. You trust in the government. You trust in these things. I give my life to God. You know what I'm saying? I've heard this before. Yeah. That's why I say life is about, if you take responsibility and but it's not to just wake up and say, I'm going to do that. No, you really got to feel that. I'm going to take responsibility for my health, my life. That's you embodying the God energy. If you do not have that in your life, then you should not be saying you're God. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people who say we're humans. We're not human. We're operating in a vessel. But in order for you to really embody that God energy, it comes down to taking ownership, authority. Not because what does the word God mean? You know what I'm saying? Like somebody, even I've heard it before in different videos where they say, well, can you create planets? Can you create? But, they're like, all right, well, it says that in the Bible. I'm like, well, I'm not Christian, so I don't follow the Bible. Where in a dictionary does it say that God creates planets? You know what I'm saying? There's too many. That's like if I tell you, hey, Robert, you have human rights. Or, hey, Robert, yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. Or, hey, Robert, I'm going to make a right turn. How many meanings did I get out of one word? You know what I'm saying? There's many meanings to the word God. So if you're actually even saying that the word God means what then you're no different than any Jewish mysticism that's out there. You have to learn, what does the word God mean to you? The word
Yes.
God to me means authority. That's why I said in God we trust. It's on the dollar bill. People go work for money. That means
Yeah.
God is your money. You know what I'm saying? Then you go and you work in a job. The job is, you depend on the job. You get what I'm saying? But then that's why it's important to try to mold your life. And I'm trying to teach my child this. I wasn't taught like this. I'm learning this now at an older age, but I'm glad I am. It doesn't matter. It's not too late to ever learn anything. You know, I'm 42 years old, but I feel better now than I ever have in my 20s. And I would never change anything about what I've done. You know what I'm saying? And there was a point in time, Robert, where I was making a lot of money. I lived in New York. I was managing the entire, like all the GNCs and vitamin shops in the Northeast, plus the Mexico market. I had a very prestigious job. I had a good job. I had a demo team in all parts of the United States, and I was actually making a shitload of money. But and then I something happened. You know what I'm saying? Like my life changed, but why did my life change? It's what we call an awakening. But I became aware of shit, like how shit was actually operating, right? I became aware of the stuff that I'm selling, and I stopped becoming so passionate about it. But it's not that I left the job. My mental state changed so much that everything left me. You hear what I'm saying? It left me. I was bartending, bro. And when I was bartending and making, I'm not gonna lie, bro. This is real shit. I was making $2,000 in 3 days and a weekend. Wow. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I'm serving people alcohol and I'm intoxicating them and I'm playing with their feelings. You get what I'm saying? Like it was just, it's so much that I've learned along the way to get me to this point. And I'm actually like being able to do things where I'm not dependent on anything, but I can empower myself to make so like I said, instead of working for money, you become so powerful that money can only come to you. You know what I'm saying? Like anywhere, like you look at it, money comes to you. You do a job with so much passion that it doesn't even feel like a job, but you get compensated for it and you don't even realize that you're doing that. That's how you do with food. That's how you do with the information you listen to. That's why you do with everything. You get so much nutrients out of all this stuff that you're like, wow, man, I am fucking empowered. And when you're empowered, you're embodying that Christ consciousness. You're working all your energy, your chakras, your organs, they're all harmonizing, they're all vibrating high. If I feel depressed, right, there's something going on. I got to sit down and figure out, as the CEO of my system, that's why they say mind your business. You sit with yourself and you be like, man, what's going on, bro? Like something's not moving in there. Yo, get the fuck. Move that shit. You know what I'm saying? Get that motherfucking organ moving because you're the boss. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And see, I think I always say, this is what I always say. I think a lot of people live in denial. They live in denial of a lot of things. So like, hey, you know, something's wrong in my life, but they say, nah, I'm just going to ignore it. They go around with these blinders on. And like you said, you know, I'm not in control. I want to have the religion in control of me. I'm going to let the government control me because I am denial that I do not control my life. Right. And because of that, now you're a puppet on a string and you're doing the happy dance, like, you know, and then all of a sudden, and you can't take care of your body. You can't take care of yourself. You can't take care of your garden, you know, because you're being tugged from one side this way to the other side that way by all these different things, and you're not using your brain.
Right. Well, that's why it's important to realize who and what you actually are first. You know what I'm saying? It's not because you can know all this stuff, but that's why they say I learned everything. So what do you say? I'm knowledgeable, right? You're just knowledgeable. But you can have all this knowledge. How do you apply it? But how do you realize it? Because it's not, see, a lot of the times it's realizations. Like you start to realize these things, and then you start to realize your negative patterns. You could pinpoint, and then once you pinpoint these negative patterns, these stupid things you do that actually hold you back, people that hold you back, it's not to stay in that comfort zone. Sometimes it requires you moving and taking action to change it. But that's what I'm talking about, the discipline part. It takes discipline to do it because you're going to go through some shit sometimes, you know? And when you go through shit, it's not to cry about it. That's like, somebody gets sick, the first thing they say, oh, I got to go to a doctor. How come the first question that comes out of your mind is not, how can I fix this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, how can I fix this? They say, I need to go to a doctor.
I just heard this somewhere the other day, whereas people nowadays, you know, the kid, like parents, the kid will get a cut on their finger or they get sick and right away it's like, well, I got it. Let's take him to the doctor, you know. when I was a kid, I got a cut on my finger. My finger had to literally be cut off almost to say, hey, we better take you to the doctor. Oh, I stepped on a nail. It went through my foot and came out the top. And then my mom was like, I think I got to take him to the doctor for that. You know what I mean? But other than that, I could have been freaking dying and they would have been like, it's nothing. Here, come wash it off. And they'd scrub it so hard and put some alcohol on it and say, go play. We'll put a Band-Aid on it. You know?
You're not gonna believe me, but you ever run as a little child and you stub your toe on the corner of your furniture in your room or in your house?
Oh yeah.
Bro, I actually broke my finger. Like I broke a toe. They left it like that.
Yeah.
I never went to the doctor. You know, this shit looks like a 7 right now. Like one of my toes actually are crooked because of that reason, because it was never like straightened out. But I feel you on that because like imagine I broke my finger. They never even took me to the hospital. Like, yo, fuck it, just
it'll be fine. You're good. You'll learn your lesson, won't you? But no, you're exactly right. We were tough back then. You know, we did all those things. The kids nowadays, I swear, they're pansy asses, you know. Oh, I gotta go doctor, you know. And then, but people get in their mindset that, you know, I can run to the ER or I can run. And I think a lot of that's to get attention, or they just don't want to do the work. Now, here's a good one. I'm reading this new book from Manly P. Hall. Did you ever hear Manly P. Hall?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And he was talking about getting into these mystic stuff, you know, into the, like, you know, the to the club. We'll just put it to the club because there's so many different clubs throughout the years, you know, the ones I'm talking about. But anyway, the point is, like the Masons, that's one of the kind of clubs we're talking about. But anyway, the point is, at one point there was each person to get into that club. Sure, you can be in the bottom rungs, it's not a problem. But if you want to graduate to get to the top, you have to put in the work. And like one of them, he was describing, you had to not speak for 5 years in order to get the information. And by not speaking for 5 years, you know, they knew you wouldn't talk about it. Another one was a Mexican one where the initiates had to do some stuff, and they had to go in a cave with a sword, and this winged bat Mothra would come by and swat at them with a sword and try to cut their heads off. And if they didn't pay attention, their head got cut off. And if they did, they survived, and then they got the rights to and the Romans were the same way. They had to pass all these tests. They had to, you know, go through heat, water, fire, everything, skills, you know, and then they had to survive, and some of them didn't. But when they came out all that, they got the information and they got to be in the club. Why? Because they were toughened. They knew that those were the hardened people. Those were the tough ones. Those were the smarter than the average ones. You know, they had some luck, they had some skill, they had whatever. And that's the thing. You're thinning out the herd. And if you want to be one of the ones that graduate, you got to take care of yourself. You got to watch, you got to put in the work. You got to put in the work. That's as simple as just what you're saying is, you know, you can't run to the doctor. You got to go and start and study. Look up that Jennifer Daniels, and look up the Andres Mortis. Isn't that Andreas? Okay, I said it right. I'm scribbling Andreas. Okay, but look those people up. Do the studying. Find out the information. It's all about doing the work. You can't just say, well, like you said, I'm going to just go and drink the Kool-Aid and see what happens.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, though. Like even like you know, I mean, there's a lot of spiritual you know, people who do spiritual work online.
Yep.
You know, and they all have their respective right and their position. They do good work, but half of the stuff that these people look for in these people, they could do themselves. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just about studying the material, but then applying it. And you're in this body. This body's gonna die anyway. Why not go hard and go home? You know what I'm saying? Like, like what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, put the fear to the side and just fucking do it. You know, like not, let's say if it's something dangerous where you're gonna go and jump off a cliff, that's different. But like, I believe like you got to go through these things. You got to experience. You're here to experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Right now, we're in a stage where I feel like we're supposed to learn as much about the planet as possible. All right. And the reason I say this is because when I had my last job, like I told you about I was managing these GNC, the supplement company. You know, I managed the Northeast, New York. I was born and raised in New York, but I got to travel all over the United States. Like literally, I was doing takeovers in each one of the states because that's what we did. And our main office was in Ohio. And then I went to Mexico. But I noticed that, you know, when you're able to visit these places, let's say, and one of them, you liked one of them so much, and you're like, yo, I want to go back. Because you were there already, it's so much easier to visualize it. That's like somebody saying, hey, man, I want to go to Egypt. Man, I want to go to Egypt because of stuff you heard, but you never been there. And you try to imagine you being in Egypt. It's harder to imagine or try to visualize you being in Egypt if you've never been there. You know what I'm saying? It's harder. But if you've actually been there and you get, because everything goes by an emotion. Like when I went to Colombia, there's a certain scent. There's a certain, even the pollution of the fucking trucks, whatever it may be. Like when I go to Colombia, it's a different type of, even harder to breathe because I'm like so much higher up on elevation. But I remember all these little details. And if I wanted to ever go back and I wanted, like, let's say if I want to visualize, I'm just making an example. But if I want to visualize, like I want to go back, I can make it more or less likely happen because of I'm visualizing and putting all this emotion into it that I can manifest that into my reality. That's why I feel like if this world is a reflection of you, but you can't get to know the entire planet per se, and look at this, the restrictions on travel they got now and all that, or how hard it makes it for certain people to actually travel from one country to another because of, like, let's say immigration or immigration purposes or, you know, money because it's expensive. You know what I'm saying? Or like say like, you know, family, you can't go because you got family you got to attend to. You get what I'm saying? That's why sometimes like I'll give this little advice because I have a family, but I give this advice to people who are single. You got it made. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say that I regret my life because I'm very grateful for my family. But if you by yourself and these people wish they had, like, oh my God, I'm by my, no, you're not by, you got all the advantage. You got all the time to yourself to do whatever the fuck you want. You know what I'm saying? Half of the time, there's times where when I'm by myself, I'm like, shit, this is fucking gold, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm appreciative for my family, but it's all in balance. You get what I'm saying? But there's certain people who I've spoke to. One particular gentleman who was telling me that he wishes he had a family and whatnot. And I'm like, dude, you got it fucking made. You don't even know how good you got it. I'm like telling him straight up. I'm like, I love my family, but damn, you got it good, bro. You got it good too. There's pros and cons to everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The grass ain't greener on the other side all the time either.
No, it's not all the time. There's pros and cons to everything, man. And I'm grateful because I learn a lot from my family members, even the ones who are zombies. You know what I'm saying? Because some of them are zombies.
Yeah.
But it's like you're here to interact, and these people are in your life for a reason. Like, it's not like you're there as a victim, like, oh, I gotta deal with these zombies. No, there's a zombie in you somehow, and that's why you got that person in your life to some extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is there for a reason. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the reason I say I'm responsible for my thoughts, because there's something called a collective, like, contagion, to some extent, where my thoughts can impact somebody else. Because it's like you're in a pool. You know what I'm saying? And you pollute those pools with polluted water. You know, let's say that person's vibrating lower, they're more likely to catch that, you know, stupid thought that I had. So it's good to maintain a positive vibration. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say, oh, I gotta, you know, it affects you because you create your reality anyway. So why would you want to experience a future timeline that you don't want to experience because you can't manage your thoughts right now? Again, you're managing your business. But these thoughts can also come from disharmony in certain organs because you're full of, this is not the only brain you have. You have brains everywhere. And that's why when you eat certain things, or you eat the herbs to harmonize these frequencies or neutralize these acids, man, believe it or not, these things actually affect your thoughts to a positive extent. You get what I'm saying? Like they actually do a good thing for you, because you'll start to feel lighter, you start to feel better. You don't like, let me tell you something. A lot of the times people feel inflammation in their body or tension. These are not just the food you eat. This is just, some of the times you're just an inflammatory motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like you got fucked up thoughts and it's just messing you up, you know? And that's it manifests like that, you know?
Yep.
Wish, if you're a jealous person, or you got in bad intentions toward other people all the time, or you want to send bad energy to somebody because they pissed you off, you know, that shit manifests in you somehow. You know what I'm saying?
It does.
There's nothing that goes out that's not coming back. You know what I'm saying? There's always a boomerang effect.
Absolutely. I totally agree on that. Believe it or not, we went an hour and 20 minutes, man.
Wow,
This has been
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I know this has been a really great conversation, but I want to say, I hope you can come back again soon, maybe next week or something. We'll do this again, man. We've got to continue on with this good conversation here.
Yeah, man. I definitely want to talk about a lot of different things. You know, I want to close off on this though. You know, what's funny is, you know, I was parking my car outside, and I'm coming out of my car, and for some reason I was like looking straight, and you know, the stars were so bright that I couldn't help but to look up. And you know, there was one star that was very bright, and it was just there, and then all of a sudden it just started falling, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? It just, but I mean, it started, and you know, I know what a shooting star looks like, because it was you know, they got a little streak behind it, but this was there, and then it just started falling, and then it fucking makes a loop and goes, and it comes like away from me, and then it just disappears into the black sky. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Why do I mention this? Is that every day, like, something is always happening. You know what I'm saying? And those little details that happen in your life are for you. You know what I'm saying? Let's say, for example, I told you this. You're probably like, yo, what the fuck do I care about this shit? You know what I'm saying? But the reason I mentioned this is because I don't know what that is to this day. And it happened like 3 or 4 days ago, but I've been contemplating on it to the point where it's got me looking up at the sky. But then again, certain things may happen to keep you looking at certain things. You know what I'm saying? To keep your eye off something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a video game. And that's how I look at this shit. Like, there's things that happen sometimes. And one of the most subtle things that somebody may tell you that'll keep you thinking, somebody may say something to you that pissed you off. And then you ever notice that it keeps replaying in your head, and you're like, you wish you could have said something, but you didn't. You know what I'm saying? There's always little things in life that always get you to do shit like that. It's just paying very close attention to those little details. Because look, I could be going like this to you, right? And just showing you 3 fingers, but in actuality, I'm telling you, read between the lines. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm trying to say. But there's always like something in your life that's telling you something. The most subtle shit that you may not even know that is there. Like let's say, for example, they always tell you this in these like financial guru things. Like, you know, let's say you start to pay attention to a car that you actually want. You know what I'm saying? And then you start doing research, and you want to, and then all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere now, but you never saw it before. Who's to say that it was never there? It was always there. You just never paid attention to it. You know what I'm saying? Manage your life like that. You know what I'm saying? Including with the information, including with the food you eat, including with everything. You know what I'm saying? How you digest and absorb things, you know, but maintain that frame where you're not getting distracted or going into a rabbit hole, or getting lost into a desire. Because I got lost into the desire to want to see what the fuck that shit was. You know what I'm saying? But yo, man, I went on a ramble.
Well, maybe it's for a reason, you know. Maybe it's telling you to do something. I don't know. You'll figure out when the time is right. That's right. When the time is right, you will know.
And I appreciate you inviting me on the show today, man.
Oh, definitely, man, it's great. We gotta do this again. I just love, I can ask you all these questions because, you know, I mean, I'm always trying to improve my body and eat right and do all these things. And sometimes I'm really good about it, and sometimes I slack a little bit. But, you know, for the most part, I like to be good and healthy. And I like to eat healthy. I like to grow my garden and do all that stuff too, you know. So this is really good. And I know there's a lot of people in here that, you know, they have problems, you know, they're overweight, they have aches and pains, you know, joints and stuff, mental health too. You know, I want to do a show one of these days on suicide stuff, because a lot of people have commented that either them or their family members or somebody, but I want to have a kind of a professional person come on and talk about it. And because I think it's a subject that we need to address. I mean, especially with all these lockdowns and all the things that are going on, people are really having anxiety over this. And why? Like you said, just throw out, we're here to live. Don't worry about it. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even that topic would be pretty interesting to get into, because a lot of the times when somebody gets to that point that they're at that breaking point, you know what I'm saying? That's also a disconnect with themselves as well, to some extent. Like, really not, like, instead of looking at it from the outside, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is where, and it sounds cliche, literally inverting the shit inside out and looking at it from within first to figure out, because people try to figure things out outside of themselves. Everything's already made. Everything's already figured out. That's why everything's in figures. When you open your eyes, you see figures everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You figure things out from the inside out. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, reality is already made. Do you ever heard the concept of the alternate universe? Your frequency and vibration determines what reality you live. It's all about you aligning to a reality. But that takes a lot of like work within yourself. You know what I'm saying? And literally being comfortable with being by yourself. Because you're not alone when you're by yourself. You're all one. You're not lonely. You're literally all one when you're all alone. That's why you see the word alone, all one, because you're one. You're one. And once you know you're whole, you can make yourself whole. Like, I'm talking about masculine and feminine type of aspect, like managing these energies. You're able to, because you ever heard somebody say, oh, this is my partner, this is my other half. Like, meanwhile, they don't even know themselves and they're calling that other person the other half. And then a year later they break up. You know what I'm saying? It's because they're attracted to a fucked up individual because they don't know themselves. But in actuality, that other half is supposed to be your actual soulmate. But the soulmate, you don't go looking for it. When you are actually complete, and I feel like that's something that everybody should be on that path to trying to complete themselves. I'm talking about becoming that androgyny, you know what I'm saying, that we all talk about, is basically when you attract your soulmate. And soulmate don't even have to be a sexual partner. It may even be a best friend that could be a soulmate. You know what I'm saying? A twin flame is something else, but disconnect, I feel like that's just, you know, the rational mind, the emotional mind. Like, when you eat something and you feel guilty afterwards and you're like, fuck, why'd I eat that shit? That's basically your rational mind was talking, but there was a disconnect. And then after you ate it, you feel guilty. And then that's your emotional mind kicking in. You know what I'm saying? That was just the disconnect. But I feel like the connection has to be whole from source, from you, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Man. You are right on it. Exactly. Okay, well, we got to get going, because guess what? I got to go to work tomorrow too. I'm sure you do too. It's later where you're at than I am. Oh man. But anyway, we'll get together. We'll do this again, by gosh. And thank you everybody for showing up tonight. We had quite a few people in the chat, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that came in, well, a few of them, Organic Intelligence, yeah, I think there was. We had a lot of people. Yeah. And Organic Intelligence showed up late. She said she'll rewatch. Well, good. I'm glad you came. And Nina, she put down a book, a prescription for nutritional healing. And I think I'm going to look that up, see if I can find it. And we'll get everything set. And by gosh, we'll have you on hopefully sooner than later, eh?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody in the chat as well. I can't see the chat, but you know, I want to send thank you and much love to everybody in the chat. Thank you very much.
All right. And remember, everybody, be the frequency you want to receive. Love you, everybody. Oops, there you go. I gotta get the camera thing right. And there we go.